The galactic Concord had long been a place of uneasy peace. Dozens of species from across the stars coexisted under a fragile agreement, each contributing to the delicate tapestry of interstellar harmony. But when the Icthari Empire, a ruthless insectoid species driven by conquest, launched a brutal campaign across the galaxy, peace was shattered. The Concord, outmatched and overwhelmed, was left with no choice but to seek help from a species they had once overlooked: humanity. The year was 2379, and Earth had only recently joined the interstellar community. They were seen as primitive, even barbaric, compared to the ancient and refined civilizations of the Concord. But desperation forced the Concord's hand, and the request was made. Humanity was to bring its armies to the galactic front lines. The arrival. The Concord Council Chamber was a vast, crystalline dome suspended above the capital city of Celestara Prime. Representatives of the Concord species stood in tense silence as the human delegation entered the room. Leading them was General Adrienne Vaughn, a tall, imposing figure with steel-gray eyes and a reputation for unconventional strategies. Behind her followed an eclectic team of officers and specialists, but it wasn't the humans that drew the room's attention. It was the cargo they brought with them. Behind the humans, secured in reinforced containment pods, were creatures the likes of which the Concord had never seen. Towering predators with serrated teeth and predatory eyes glared out at the assembled species. Some hissed against the glass. Others remained eerily still, their muscles coiled with barely restrained power. General Vaughn stepped forward, her voice steady but commanding. "Esteemed members of the Concord," she began, her gaze sweeping across the gathered representatives. "Humanity understands your plight. You face an enemy that cannot be reasoned with, one that views diplomacy as weakness and mercy as an opportunity. The Icthari will not stop until they have consumed everything in their path. And so we bring you not just our soldiers, but our apex predators, the creatures that once taught humanity what it means to survive." A meeting of minds. Among the Concord representatives, Ambassador Kurivak of the Zolorians leaned forward, his bioluminescent skin flickering with skepticism. "General Vaughn," Krivak said in a voice like shifting sand, "we asked for soldiers, not beasts. What purpose could these monsters serve in a war of advanced technology?" Vaughn's lips curved into a faint smile. "With all due respect, Ambassador, you underestimate the utility of monsters." She gestured to the nearest containment pod. Inside, a massive feline-like predator paced. Its sleek black fur rippled over muscle, and its golden eyes glowed with a predatory focus. "This," Vaughn said, "is a panther enhanced with genetic augmentations. Faster, stronger, and more cunning than any drone or droid you could deploy. And it's only one of many." She moved to another pod, where an enormous armored reptile snapped its jaws, its tail lashing against the containment walls. A saltwater crocodile, reinforced with dermal plating and augmented instincts, perfect for ambush tactics in aquatic environments. The room filled with murmurs, some of curiosity, others of unease. Proving the point. As the debate continued, an alert sounded in the chamber. A hologram appeared, showing Icthari forces breaching the outer defenses of a nearby Concord colony. General Vaughn seized the moment. "You want proof? Let us show you what humanity and its predators can do," she said firmly. Hours later, the human forces deployed to the colony's surface. Vaughn stood at the helm of her command vessel, watching as their predators were released alongside human soldiers. The Icthari swarmed the battlefield, their chittering cries echoing across the plains. But when Earth's apex predators were unleashed, the tide of battle shifted. Raptors darted through the underbrush, taking down Icthari soldiers with surgical precision. Augmented wolves worked in coordinated packs, ripping through enemy lines. In the rivers and marshes, crocodiles ambushed Icthari stragglers, their jaws snapping shut with crushing force. The Concord watched the live feed in stunned silence as humanity's worst nightmares became their greatest weapons. Aftermath. The battle was a decisive victory. The Icthari were routed and the colony was saved. In the council chamber, Ambassador Krivak stood to address General Vaughn. "You have made your point, General," he admitted, his tone grudgingly respectful. "Humanity's methods may be Unorthodox, but they are undeniably effective. The Concord welcomes your predators and your people to the war effort. Vaughn nodded. Humanity will stand with the Concord, but remember this. The creatures we bring are not just tools of war. They are a reminder of what it takes to survive. We were forged by them, and now they fight alongside us. As humanity took its place among the galactic forces, the galaxy began to realize one truth. When humans joined the war, they didn't just bring soldiers. They brought the nightmares of Earth itself, unleashing the pack. The Icthari weren't known for retreating, but the events on the conquered colony world had left them shaken. Their swarm intelligence, a vast network of shared thoughts and strategies, struggled to adapt to the unpredictability of Earth's predators. What unnerved them most wasn't the human soldiers. They could comprehend sentient adversaries. It was the relentless, primal ferocity of the predators. The Predator training grounds, back on Tartarus Base, the Concord's newly designated training outpost, humanity's apex predators were being integrated into the war effort. General Vaughn walked along a series of observation platforms overlooking vast biomes designed to simulate every conceivable combat environment. Deserts, jungles, Arctic tundras, and even zero-gravity chambers. Specialists worked with Concord soldiers to teach them how to fight alongside humanity's predators. Vaughn paused beside a Zilorian officer who stood transfixed as a pack of genetically enhanced wolves coordinated to bring down a training drone. These creatures, the Zilorian officer murmured, his bioluminescent skin pulsing in shades of awe, they act without hesitation, yet with such precision. How do they understand the mission? Vaughn crossed her arms, watching the wolves move as a unit, their glowing collars indicating they were synced to a shared neural link. They don't just follow commands, she explained. Our scientists adapted a version of our own battlefield neural systems for them. They communicate in real time, almost like the Icthari. But their instincts? That's all them. You can't program the kind of raw cunning they bring to a fight. The Concord's growing trust over weeks of training, a curious camaraderie began to form between the Concord species and Earth's predators. On the volcanic world of Theraxis, Concord forces conducted joint drills with humanity's raptors. The swift, agile predators were ideally suited for the planet's jagged, ash-covered terrain. A group of raptors ambushed simulated enemy forces, their augmented claws slicing through defenses as if they were paper. "By the stars," gasped a Trelvani officer, his four eyes wide. "They think like soldiers." One raptor, finished with its target, turned to look at the Trelvani and tilted its head, as if understanding the compliment. The officer shivered. The Icthari counterattacked. The next major engagement with the Icthari came sooner than expected. A Concord mining station on Nemos 4, an ice-covered moon rich in rare metals, was under siege. The Icthari's adaptation had begun. They were using advanced heat weapons to melt ice and create unstable terrain, forcing defenders into vulnerable positions. General Vaughn, now stationed aboard the Concord flagship Dawning Fury, received the distress call. "They're learning," Vaughn muttered as she studied the holographic map of the battlefield. Her adjutant, Lieutenant Marcus Hill, nodded grimly. "They're trying to pin us in, General. Typical swarm tactics. Drive the prey to a choke point, then overwhelm them." Vaughn smirked. "They're about to learn what happens when the prey bites back. Prep the predators. We're going in." Battle on Nemos 4. The battle was chaos. The Icthari swarms had entrenched themselves in the ice tunnels beneath the mining station, their heat weapons making the surface a treacherous maze of melting glaciers. But humanity's forces adapted quickly. In the frozen expanse, augmented polar bears, towering creatures with white fur reinforced with heat-absorbing tech, were unleashed. Their enormous claws tore through Icthari warriors, while their thick hides shrugged off heat blasts. In the tunnels, the wolves proved invaluable. Their neural link allowed them to navigate the labyrinthine paths with uncanny precision. They struck from shadows, dragging Icthari soldiers into the darkness before disappearing. And then there were the panthers. Equipped with adaptive camouflage, they became near-invisible specters in the snow. An Icthari squad advanced cautiously, their antennae twitching as they searched for movement. A low growl was their only warning before a panther lunged, its claws raking through chitin armor as though it were paper. The turning point above the moon, Vaughn coordinated the operation, her voice calm and precise over the command channel. Panther teams, hold the southern ridge. Wolves, flush them toward the ice caverns. Bears, maintain pressure on their left flank. We're boxing them in, people. The Icthari tried to regroup, but their swarm intelligence faltered. The predators were too fast, too unpredictable. For the first time, the Icthari swarm was splintered, its cohesion shattered. As the last of the Icthari forces were driven into a trap, Vaughn gave the final order. Release the fire drones. The drones descended, their payloads igniting the ice tunnels in a controlled collapse. The Icthari remnants were buried beneath tons of frozen debris. Their advance stopped cold. A galaxy changed. The victory at Nemos 4 was decisive. The Concord began to realize the full potential of humanity's predators, not just as weapons, but as symbols of a new kind of warfare, one that blended primal instinct with advanced technology. In the days that followed, the Concord Council convened to discuss humanity's growing influence. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy had hope that the Icthari might be defeated. As Vaughn stood before the council once more, Ambassador Kurivak addressed her, his tone reverent. Humanity has shown us that survival is not just a matter of strength or intelligence, but of adaptability and unity. Your predators have taught us lessons we had long forgotten. Vaughn inclined her head. We didn't just bring predators to this war, Ambassador. We brought a piece of Earth, a reminder that survival is about facing the worst and coming out stronger. The galaxy braced for the battles to come, united now by humanity's relentless determination. And in the shadows of Earth's warships, the predators prepared for their next hunt. The Icthari adapt. The Icthari Empire was not idle in the wake of their defeat on Nemos 4. Their swarm intelligence processed every encounter, analyzing patterns, seeking weaknesses, and refining their strategies. In the depths of their hive fleets, the broodlords, their central strategists, gathered to address the growing threat posed by humanity and their apex predators. They recognized a critical truth. Humanity's tactics were as dangerous as their creatures. Together, they formed a plan to counter both. A sudden silence. 3 weeks passed with no sign of the Icthari. The galaxy held its breath, suspecting the swarm was regrouping, planning their next strike. When the silence finally broke, it came as a shock. The Concord outpost on Mithrix 7, a strategically vital world rich in deuterium deposits, went dark. No distress call, no evacuation signal, just an abrupt, eerie silence. The Concord dispatched a fleet led by the Dawning Fury to investigate. Vaughn, ever cautious, ordered reconnaissance drones ahead of their arrival. What they found chilled her to the core. The outpost was intact, but completely abandoned. No bodies, no signs of struggle. The humans and Concord personnel stationed there had simply vanished. General, Lieutenant Hill said, his voice tight with unease, the Icthari didn't just attack. They're experimenting. The ambush, as the fleet orbited Mithrix 7, sensors lit up with hundreds of Icthari ships dropping out of warp. The Dawning Fury's alarms blared as the swarm ships closed in. It's a trap, Vaughn muttered, her jaw tightening. They wanted us here. Before she could give the order to retreat, something unprecedented happened. Icthari transports deployed not soldiers, but monstrous bioengineered creatures, new predators bred to counter humanity's own. The first of these abominations landed with an earth-shaking crash. It resembled a grotesque fusion of Icthari biology and Earth's apex predators. Chitin-covered beasts with razor-sharp claws, reinforced exoskeletons, and mandibles designed for crushing. Among them were massive arachnid-like creatures, their legs adapted to climb and ambush, and serpentine horrors that slithered with alarming speed. They've learned, Vaughn said grimly. They're using their own predators now. The predator war begins. The battle on Mithrix 7 became a nightmarish clash of teeth, claws, and strategy. Humanity's predators fought alongside soldiers and drones, facing Icthari bio-creatures designed to match them blow for blow. In the frozen tundras of Mithrix 7, an enhanced pack of wolves engaged a swarm of Icthari stalkers, which resembled six-legged insect wolves with serrated mandibles. The clash was brutal, a frenzy of snapping jaws and slashing claws. In the skies above, raptors equipped with lightweight battle armor engaged Icthari flying beasts, bat-like monstrosities with venomous stingers. The aerial combat was chaotic, the screeches of dying creatures echoing across the battlefield. But the true horror came from the largest of the Icthari biocreatures, a towering amalgamation of their own broodlords and Earth's crocodilian DNA. This monster, dubbed a brood titan, waded through the chaos, swatting aside soldiers and predators alike with terrifying ease. Adapting to the threat, Vaughn realized the Icthari had forced them into a war of attrition. Humanity's predators were unmatched individually, but the sheer number of bio-creatures the Icthari could deploy was staggering. "We need a countermeasure," Vaughn said, turning to her lead biologist, Dr. Elena Hayes. Hayes, a brilliant but eccentric scientist, studied the battlefield footage with a gleam in her eye. "They're using brute force, General, but they're still thinking like a hive. What if we turn that against them?" Vaughn raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening." Unleashing the Apex Protocol, Dr. Hayes had been working on a classified project known as the Apex Protocol, an experimental method to amplify the intelligence and autonomy of Earth's predators. By linking them into a decentralized network, one modeled on pack dynamics rather than a hive mind, Hayes believed they could outthink and outmaneuver the Icthari biocreatures. "It's risky," Hayes warned. "If the neural link fails, we could lose control. But if it works, we'll have something the Icthari can't counter." Vaughn made the call. "Do it. Release the protocol." The turning tide. As the Apex Protocol activated, humanity's predators transformed into something more than animals. Wolves began coordinating with raptors, setting up ambushes from the ground and sky. Panthers worked in tandem with drones, using their agility to lure bio-creatures into kill zones. Even the lumbering polar bears showed a new level of tactical awareness, herding Icthari forces into narrow choke points where their massive strength could crush them. On the front lines, a pack of wolves led by an alpha known as Shadowfang became legends. Shadowfang, now linked to the Apex Protocol, devised strategies that even human tacticians struggled to comprehend. The wolves didn't just fight, they hunted, and the Icthari became their prey. The final stand on Mithrix 7. As the battle reached its peak, the Brood Titan rampaged toward the human command post. Vaughn stood firm, knowing their survival depended on stopping it. "Shadowfang," she called over the neural link, her voice calm but urgent. "It's up to you." The wolves responded instantly, coordinating with a team of raptors and a single augmented panther. Together, they executed a daring plan, luring the Brood Titan into an ice canyon. As the beast advanced, the predators struck from all sides, targeting its joints and sensory organs. With a deafening roar, the Brood Titan collapsed, its massive form crashing into the frozen ground. Victory and a new beginning. The battle ended with the Icthari forces in retreat. Humanity and the Concord had not just survived, they had proven they could adapt faster than their enemies. As the sun rose over the icy plains of Mithrix 7, Vaughn stood beside Shadowfang, her hand resting lightly on the wolf's sleek black fur. "We're not just fighting for survival," she said softly. "We're showing the galaxy what it means to evolve, to endure. Together, we're unstoppable." Shadowfang tilted his head, golden eyes glinting with intelligence, as if to say, "I know." The Icthari's final plan. The war dragged on for years, and the galaxy bore the scars of its unrelenting battles. Planets burned, fleets were shattered, and millions perished in the struggle against the Icthari. But humanity and their apex predators had turned the tide, forcing the Icthari to abandon conquest after conquest. The Icthari, however, were far from defeated. Deep within their hive fleets, the broodlords devised their ultimate strategy, a desperate gamble to reclaim dominance: the hive core. The Icthari homeworld, near Akal, had remained hidden for millennia, protected by a labyrinth of spatial anomalies and gravitational traps. The broodlords called their species back to this fortress world, consolidating their entire swarm and preparing to unleash their final weapon: the hive core, a biological superweapon capable of seeding Icthari DNA across entire star systems. Once deployed, the hive core would terraform worlds into environments suitable only for Icthari life. It was their ultimate fallback, a way to ensure the survival of their species, even if it meant annihilating all others. Humanity and the Concord couldn't allow it to happen. The last conquered fleet. The combined Concord forces rallied for a single, decisive strike. It was a coalition of dozens of species, each contributing their finest ships, soldiers, and weapons. At its center stood humanity, their warships bristling with weapons and carrying Earth's most fearsome predators. General Vaughn addressed the fleet from the dawning fury, her voice calm but resolute. "This is it. The Icthari have pushed us to the brink, but we're still standing. We've adapted. We've evolved. And now we take the fight to their heart. They wanted a war of extinction? Let's give them one." The fleet jumped to Nirkal, knowing there would be no retreat. The battle for Nirkal. The Icthari swarms awaited the fleet with a ferocity unseen in previous battles. Their hive ships blotted out the stars, and their bioengineered creatures were more monstrous than ever. The battle raged across the void, starships colliding in dazzling explosions, while fighter squadrons danced through the chaos. On the planet's surface, Concord ground forces clashed with Icthari warriors, supported by Earth's predators. Wolves, panthers, and bears fought alongside raptors and crocodiles, their apex protocol-linked minds turning the battlefield into a deadly chessboard. Shadowfang, the legendary wolf, led a daring assault on an Icthari command nexus, his pack tearing through the swarm's defenses with brutal efficiency, penetrating the hive. The dawning fury spearheaded the assault on the hive core itself, escorted by a fleet of Concord and human ships. Vaughn coordinated the attack with precision, but the hive core was surrounded by an impenetrable shield. "We need boots on the ground," Vaughn declared. "Dr. Hayes, is the payload ready?" Hayes nodded. "The neural disruptor is primed, General, but getting close enough to deploy it will be suicide." Vaughn smiled grimly. "Good thing we specialize in impossible odds. Shadowfang, this one's yours." The final hunt, Shadowfang and his pack were deployed to the surface in a heavily armed dropship, accompanied by elite human commandos. Their mission: infiltrate the hive core's defenses and deliver the neural disruptor, a device designed to overload the swarm intelligence and sever the Icthari's mental link. The ground assault was brutal. Icthari bio-creatures swarmed the infiltrators, their sheer numbers threatening to overwhelm them. But Shadowfang and his pack fought with unmatched ferocity, coordinating with the commandos to push forward. As they reached the hive core's chamber, Shadowfang took point, his instincts guiding him through the labyrinthine tunnels. When they finally reached the core, the sight was breathtaking and horrifying, a massive, pulsating structure of living biomass, its surface crawling with Icthari drones. The sacrifice. The neural disruptor had to be placed directly on the hive core to work, but as the team approached, a towering Icthari broodlord emerged, a grotesque amalgamation of flesh and chitin, its sheer presence radiating malice. The commandos opened fire, but the broodlord shrugged off their attacks and lunged for the disruptor. Shadowfang intercepted it mid-charge, his fangs sinking into its throat as the two titans clashed. The wolf fought with every ounce of his strength, buying the commandos enough time to plant the disruptor. As the device activated, a surge of energy rippled through the hive core, severing the swarm intelligence in an instant. The Icthari forces collapsed into chaos, their coordinated efforts reduced to mindless frenzy. The broodlord, weakened and disoriented, was finally brought down by Shadowfang, but not before dealing him a mortal wound. Victory and loss. With the hive core neutralized, the Concord fleet unleashed a devastating orbital bombardment, obliterating Nirkal and ending the Icthari threat once and for all. As the dust settled, the survivors of the ground assault regrouped. Shadowfang lay at the heart of the hive core's ruins, his once bright eyes dimming. Vaughn knelt beside him, her hand trembling as she stroked his fur. "You did it," she whispered. "You saved us all." The wolf let out a soft growl, a final acknowledgement of her words before his body went still. A galaxy reborn. The fall of the Icthari marked the dawn of a new era for the galaxy. The Concord, once fractured and uncertain, was now united by the lessons of war. Humanity, with its unorthodox methods and indomitable spirit, had proven itself as a force to be reckoned with. Statues of Earth's predators were erected across Concord worlds, a tribute to the creatures who had fought and died to protect a galaxy they could never truly understand. General Vaughn returned to Earth a hero, but carried with her the weight of every loss. In her private quarters, she kept a single hollow image, Shadowfang standing proudly at her side. "We survived because of you," she whispered. "We'll never forget." And in the quiet of the stars, the memory of Earth's predators lived on, a testament to the primal force of survival, the bond between species, and the unyielding will of humanity to endure.